Well, hey guys, I know this is some of you guys don't enjoy this. And I noticed that I get the less views. It's primarily a heavy equipment channel, but I got to hammer out some videos, so uh, we're gonna make a video about it anyway. This is a 2003 F-150. I got the engine out of it seized on them, and I had a heck of a time getting it out because you can leave the transmission in there like I did and pull it out, but most of the time you would rotate the engine around and pull the torque converter bolts out of the flex plate one at a time, and then you've got plenty of clearance there to get it out of there. But I'm telling you what, when the engine's seized up, you can't get the converter off hardly. Well, you can't with it in there. So we got to try to get this converter off with it on here. I think I can do that here. So yesterday we had quite a chaotic day. I didn't really get a chance to do any videoing. I went over to Medford. One of my customers paid me to go over there and look at a D8K that was in the auction over there. And I basically told him, after we looked at it for a while, to run from it. Not only walk, but run from it. They had a radiator cap on there. You had to beat it off with a hammer and a punch, because they were trying to hide the fact that the head gasket or the head was cracked, and as soon as you started it, it started shoving water out of it. So they were trying to hide that. And you had to chisel the crust off the final drive housing there to find the plugs to check the final drive oil. So you know they hadn't checked the oil in the finals and who knows how long. And so the right side track tensioner obviously is bad because the track's about ready to come off of it. The grousers and the pads and the rollers, it was really hard to see the lower rollers on it because of the rock guards that they had on there. But both blade cylinders needed to be repacked. The tilt cylinder needed to be repacked. I mean, so I don't know. It seemed all three forward and reverse power shift speeds seemed to work. Steering clutches seemed to work, but when you buy a cat that old, you know, you got to get it cheap, especially if it has problems. But I looked to see that they were already up to like $40,000 on the bid. And I said, these people are insane. They're just going crazy on this junk, you know? So I said, you know, 40 grand, you could, for 40 grand, you could find an older 8N high track that was in way better condition and just a lot newer cat than you could that old 8K. I mean, that's just me. I wouldn't do it. So anyways, I told him to run from that thing. So that's what he decided to do. So then we picked up the engine at the wrecking yard for this because, you know, it's not worth messing with. So I got an engine. My wife's on her way down with that. And then I had that 8N you guys saw the ripper repair on. So I hauled ass back from Medford, got my service truck at home, drove down here, and they said the 8N wouldn't move. So he had parked it that night, and I got up the next morning and it wouldn't move, and he got up the next morning and it wouldn't move anyways. Got down there and it actually ended up being pretty simple. That one has differential steering on it, and the tiller has got a park lock on it. And that park lock runs a linkage to a control valve on top of the transmission. And the dirt had packed up around that. So, I mean, there was dirt piled up. Say this is the top of the transmission. The dirt was piled up that high. And what happened is it's getting cold. It's getting 25 degrees in the mornings here. And it froze in there. And then the linkage couldn't move to take it out of park. So we just cleaned it off. And then the linkage moved freely there on the spool valve. And voila, there you go. Then I had a Case 110, MX 110. They said wouldn't shut off. They were running a planter with. I went over there and the fuel shut off solenoid was bad in it. It was shortened to, the hold-in windings were shortened to power or something in there, because I unplugged it with it running and it should kill it, but it didn't. So there's something wrong with that solenoid inside. So I ordered one of those, and then I went over there and finished the John Deere Gator that I've pretty much rebuilt the whole damn thing. It's got new drive lines and new CV boots and Well, I got the drive line off of it. I know I'm rattling on forever. I'll just kind of give you a little idea what I did yesterday. You know, they've got little spline couplers on the end of the shafts, and I was just going to put the CV boots because the CV boots were torn on the drive line that went from the transfer case up to the front differential. So I was just going to replace those and do the cheapest thing, just try to save them, you know, and I got it apart, and it's got little spline couplers. It's a female spline. There's a male shaft on the front pinion and a male shaft on the transfer case, and anyway, the spines are all worn out. I mean, there's hardly anything left on, and the pinion and the gearbox looked fine, but it was on the driveline end was really bad, and I said, man, we got to change this, or we're going to be stripping spines and doing it again anyway. So anyways, I put a new driveline in that and got it all finished up yesterday. So she's on her way down. I had to dick around this morning and wait for AutoZone to open up so I could get oil and antifreeze and a filter and everything for this other engine that she's bringing. I grabbed the flex plate on it yesterday before we hauled it over here, and it turned, so it's got to be better than what we got here. So there's going to be some heavy equipment videos coming up. I'm going to start working on this again too. We're going to get stuff swapped over on this cat motor. Well, I got it off of there. I had to mess around and tip it up on its end, and of course all the water in the block that was trapped in there ran out once I tipped it up. I had to tip it up and get that, what I call it, the cookie sheet that was up against the block, because I couldn't get my wrench on the one on the bottom, and so I had to tip it up to get that wedged out of there. Where is that cookie sheet, by the way? What the heck did I do with that? Oh, it's right over here. There it is, but the other one I think has that on there still. But so good idea while you got this thing apart is let's climb up over the top here and we'll get up close and personal with this thing and put a front pump seal in the transmission while you got this engine out and all that good stuff. Find a place to be here. Our wiring harness just kind of fell down right smack in our way. I used to work on a lot of these Fords, these F-150s. That company I used to work for years ago had just tons of these things. They were a Ford company. Okay. Not really liking all that dirt right around the seal. And then I'm trying to keep if I'm going to be able to get my seal puller in there. There, I got it. Okay. Get the wire out of the view of the camera. There's that seal. Man, I don't have any shop towel with me. I need to ensure that I'm not getting any dirt in there, so I'm gonna have to go get me a towel. Just make sure this seal's the right one. Yeah, that's the right seal, so let me get a shop towel and then we'll see if we can get this seal in there. Yeah, boy, it's been pretty chaotic here lately. So I had, let's see, I'm trying to think. So yesterday was when I did all the auction stuff and got the engine and the D8 in, and the day before that I videoed a little bit, on the plastic baler, and that was just a small portion of what I did that day. I mean, I had a 389 Peterbilt that had a knock sensor rationality code that was unloading cattle over there. I had to go mess with that, and I got it out at D-rate. And We did a forced regen on an SCR catalyst test, and everything passed. I said, I don't know why it threw that NOx rationality code, because everything's passing. And then I had a 6125M John Deere that I had to go look at, and where it was setting was out in the middle of the field, and more emissions garbage, you know. And they had let it idle too much, and it had a high soot code, you know, and it was derated as well, and I ended up doing a forced regen on that and cleaning the DPF filter. So I sat there for almost 3 hours waiting for that thing. Oh man, this is kind of tough. I wonder if I can go like this. Yeah. Let me get a bra. What the hell is that? Ding, da ding, da ding, da ding, 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 da ding, da ding. Let me get a punch. Now, damn it! I don't want to stand here. It's not easy. And now this is falling over that the camera's mounted to it. Just nowhere to be here. It's really right. Let me point that down. Okay, try to get the light back over here, pointed in some sensible direction. Maybe over here. Damned if you do and damned if you don't in this situation. Ah! Damn. Is it all the way in? There we go. Stand down here. Think that I'm a little guy, huh? Oh, now she's all the way in. Just always got to make sure these converters are all the way in. Okay guys, so the wife showed up with another thing that I always like to do is any oil that you spill right here, wipe it up so it doesn't give you I did that one time when I was young. I had a little bit of oil sitting in the bell housing. Thought I had a leaking converter seal. Thought I screwed something up and pulled it all back out just to find out it was just residual oil that was sitting in there that I didn't clean up. So, okay. I'm gonna get the wiring harnesses moved to where things don't get bound up and in between the bell housing and the engine once I decide to go back in with her. But we got a little work to do on the new engine. Let me climb out of here. Oh man, I'm kind of glad that the D8 in yesterday. I was trying to get everything prepared before I even showed up to that job yesterday. I thought, oh man, what the hell? Why would that thing? I couldn't really get a straight answer out of those guys. You know, I said, man, when you put it in gear, is it laboring? They couldn't understand me. You know, that was what I was trying to get across to them. Is it laboring real bad? You know, like the power shift is actually working on it? But I couldn't really get that information from them. And I was expecting the worst when I got there, but it turned out to really not be that big of a deal. So, which is very, very good. So, I'm sure the monkeys cut all the harnesses on this because that's what junkyards do. So we're going to have to use our wiring harness that we have. So we need to strip this one off. And all the coilover plugs and everything. Did I pull the coilover plugs? I think they're all still in that intake plenum on that engine. So let's just do it this way. This is the transmission fill tube. It needs to come off of there. Yeah, I'm kind of not. I just see the state of our economy and the way things are going, and things are not looking good. So I'm going to be honest with you. Anything I can do and get my hands on to work to do, I'm doing it. Because the outcome doesn't look very promising right now. Sorry to be all doom and gloom on you, but that's the way I see it. And they cut the ground off, so that's junk. I don't understand these wrecking yards, don't they? They don't realize that we're fixing to be a third world country and you can't get a lot of this stuff, so. Looks like they started pulling the coils and then they decided that wasn't the thing to do and they just. Well, I guess. Those should come off of there. Yeah. So, that one's loose. You wonder how much water's down in there. Are those plugs loose too? The plug's loose. Did they do a compression? Maybe they did a compression test on it or something. You know, you hope this thing's worth a damn. There's definitely water in there, so these other plugs are loose. You wonder how much water is in the engine now, because the dipshits took those loose. I guess before we go any further with this. Yeah, it's water. There's water standing in the holes. What a bunch of morons. It's just like that Trent. I got a good 7.3 Power Stroke sitting out there. Told him to pull the engine out of it. Never did. He half-assed started working on it. It's got all the intake and everything off the top. Then he drug it outside and left it there. Didn't plug or cap anything on it. Now I don't know how much water's in that was in that good engine. I don't know if it's any good anymore. You know. I guess we'll rotate her and make sure. Yeah, we're gonna have to get all that cleaned out of there. I'm pretty sure it turns over. Turns, okay, so that's a. That's a huge leap forward when they turn. I'm not really liking what I see very much, to be honest with you. And they just, why? Why were they taking stuff off and then it rains on top of it? Why? Why have you done this? Okay. Look down in the cylinders and intake manifold, see any evidence of water. And there's water standing right on top of the valve. Those dickwads, man. What a bunch of shitheads. What a bunch of shitheads over there. These guys were rough on stuff. I mean, look at all the broken shit here on top and absolutely unbelievable. We're gonna blow it out. We need to lift it up and dump whatever's in there. Try to get this thing cleaned out. Hopefully it's gonna be okay. I mean, at least it turns, I guess. Yeah, okay. So that's your knock sensor, I think, right there. Your knock sensor, I think, is what that is. And those wires, look at those wires, how they're shorted. We're going to pull the other one out. I think it's in better shape than that one is. It's right here. We'll pull this one out, and it still has the protective sheath on it. You'll see more and more of this kind of stuff probably as we go on through time here, as you'll see. Basically, you keep seeing the decline of the country further and further and further as it goes. You're going to see a lot more of guys doing like what we're doing, trying to make stuff work, trying to make stuff run, doing whatever it takes. You're going to have to use your head and be resourceful. And a lot of the stuff where you're not going to be able to get parts. You know, you're going to have to do this. And this was the option they took because they saw what was happening. And they said, well, we can't get a new pickup hardly right now. You can't even hardly order a new one. And the price of the used ones have gone through the roof because people can't get. That's why I wanted to sell that 7.3 Power Stroke engine out there, because people are wanting that kind of stuff right now. Let's see, let's go this way here. Hang on, let me get my ratchet swapped around. It's not even starting in there. What's going on here? Should be the same thing. Yeah. Should start in there. Shouldn't have these kind of troubles, huh? My ratchet's not the best in the world, I'll tell you that. Different threads or something, but okay. I need to do something different. This out of here. Kind of thought the threads should already been there, you know. What's it looking like down in there? It's almost like they didn't thread it correctly or something. Huh. Almost like they didn't thread it correctly. I'm just going to lube my tap with a little bit of oil there. Should be able to go all the way through to my tap. Yep, just like that. I used to do a lot of these. It's been a few years though, to be honest with you. Okay, now what you want to do, I hope this works out. I want your piston on top dead center. So here's the insert they had in there. Yeah, it's a different thread is what it is. It's a cheaper one. These are way better. They have this flange here where these are the ones I use. Way better than those. Wait a second. Let me get the cap off this. I'll see what I'm doing here. If I can. The Loctite's got the cap Loctited. So take your plug, thread your insert back on there, and Loctite the living shit out of it to where it can't come out of there. And we don't do what those guys did. Okay. Take her slider down in the old hole there. Let me find my socket. Darn it. Get in there now, like I said. Oh, I grabbed the wrong socket. Hang on, let me go get the wrong. So go ahead and tighten that down. See, that tightened down real good. So now you want to let we'll have to let this one sit for a while and let that Loctite set up before we pull that plug back out of there. And then the insert should stay still and in the cylinder head. And I kind of screwed up there. I should have put anti-seize on that plug. And that's why the threads strip out in the heads, because guys change plugs on them and they don't put anti-seize on them. This kit's pretty nice. This is a Mac Tools kit that I got years ago. Now I'm all out of inserts. I'll have to call the Mac guy over in Medford, because there's not one in Klamath Falls anymore. I used to do those ranch pickups there that we had when I worked for that outfit all the time, but it comes with those inserts there. It used to have a bottle of Loctite in there, which is long since gone. But you put this guide down in there first when you pull the plug and all that stuff out of there. Put the guide down in there, then you put the reamer down in there, and then you ream the hole, and then you pull it back out, and then you leave the guide in there, tap the hole, pull the guide out, and then you blow all your shavings out, run your piston up to top dead center. I've got another kit too that's got like a vacuum type setup on it, but it has these kind of inserts, and I didn't really like them. I like the flanged, heavier, had coarser threads. To me, it was better. I don't really care too much for fine threads. Fine threads always seem to strip way easier to me. But anyways, I am going to pull some of these other plugs out and check compression. This is what I'm going to do next. Yeah, that plug's not even in the hole. Let's just stick a compression tester in that hole right there. Okay, well, I got here this morning, and well, I had this thing in there yesterday. I had the engine in there, but I couldn't get this other motor mount started. You ever know how you're busting your ass and you're going along with something, and sometimes you just gotta quit and rethink things? So that's when the Peterbilt showed up. So I started working on that. I came back this morning and found out why I couldn't get the motor mount lined up, because this had a deep pan on it and the other one didn't, and the pan was hitting the front axle. So yeah, it wouldn't go. So anyways, I got oil in it. I guess it's kind of the moment of truth to see if it's even gonna start. I still got quite a ways to go, but I just kind of was trying to go the bare minimum to see if it would at least fire. I don't even know if that battery's gonna be charged up enough. It's kind of crap. Sounds okay. Okay, let me see what's going on here. I put my Autel scanner on there. Looked at the engine RPM on the live data because I noticed the tach wasn't moving, and some dumbass forgot to plug that crankshaft speed sensor in. Okay, let us try this again. Oil pressure is good. Got a little bit of a miss, but hey, it runs. It's got to be way better than what it was, huh? Run a little rough, so we've got some things we're probably going to have to figure out. But hey, we're a long ways ahead here. I was sitting there thinking, man, I about had all I can take of that shit. I'll tell you that right now. Well, so I'm kind of happy that it runs. It seems to be okay. There's no abnormal noises. You know, the pickup ain't worth much, but this day and age where we're at in our situation with our economy and everything else and parts, you kind of got to take what you can get. If you got something that's halfway decent, you make it run. If it, you know, it's like you said, if I could dump $4,000 into it and it'll get me another 5 or 6 years, he said, man, I'll shit can it. Let's see here. It's a 2-valve. Yes, it's a gasoline. Come on, baby. There's no supercharger on it. And it's got a 470W transmission. Diagnosis. Control unit. PCM. Let's go to read codes first. It's probably going to have the 1000 for certain. Yeah, that's a good sign. That means that she's so far, I mean, it's actually sounding really good there. Sounds really good, actually. For a POS Ford. Okay, well, I just gotta come back and all I gotta do, I'm gonna go put the shroud or the, what do you call that? That plastic piece that goes over the radiator support, and I think I can put that inner fender in over there on the other side. Oh, I gotta tighten up the, I almost forgot, I gotta tighten up the EGR tube. I forgot about that. I didn't tighten that up yet, so I gotta button that up and tighten that up, put this plastic shit on up here and the jack handle, and I broke the darn nipple off the power steering reservoir. I got one from the junkyard. My wife went and picked it up. So I'll bring that back with me tomorrow, and I gotta dump some ATF in it and some power steering fluid in it and some coolant in it and go drive it, and hopefully she'll be out of here and on the road tomorrow. So anyways, it was turned into quite, wouldn't have been that big of a deal if, you know, the junkyard would have been honest with us and what we were getting. You know, for one thing is they told us it was in Portland, it was gonna be in Medford in like 2 or 3 days, you know. Well, 2 weeks later, it was in Utah is where it was. So, you know, that was the first thing that was kind of a strike against them. And then the second thing was it wasn't anything what they said it was going to be. And then, you know, I was really nervous when I seen all the spark plugs out of it and the thing had water in it because it rained. They left it outside with the plugs and shit out of it. And then it obviously came out of a van or something. I had to switch exhaust manifolds, oil pans, all kinds of stuff. The only thing I couldn't put on this thing was, you'll see I got a plug over this. It's got some kind of preheater for the intake, and the coolant comes out of the line coming out of the pump that comes out of the back that feeds the heater hoses, and then it went through that and then came back out this by the thermostat here and went back around. It was kind of a heater type thing, like a preheater. Well, we had to get rid of it because we couldn't use that because it doesn't have, I didn't notice it till I already had the engine in there. This pipe right here with this nipple on it, it doesn't have this nipple on this one. I didn't notice that till I already had it in. I thought, well, shit, I ain't worried about that. So, anyways. She's in there, she runs, I'm happy. Thank you.